Ever feel like you're just spinning your wheels in sales? Like always pushing but not quite reaching those top-tier goals.
Yeah, I think we've all been there. It's a common feeling.
So we wanted to tackle that feeling head on today. And
Mm.
we've got a really interesting piece from the Sales Experts blog called 12 Things You Should Give Up to Be Successful.
Oh, that's a great one. I'm familiar with that article.
Yeah, and it's not just some, vague self-help stuff.
Yeah.
This is targeted advice for sales leaders, for hiring managers, anyone setting strategy or leading teams.
Right. The insights in this piece, they can really help refine our approach to sales and, more importantly, guide our teams towards that breakthrough performance.
Absolutely love that. So the sales experts kick things off with something I think we can all relate to: procrastination, that tendency to kind of push tasks aside, especially when things get really hectic.
It's so tempting, though, right? Especially in sales when there's always something urgent popping up.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
But the article makes a really interesting point about how procrastination actually sabotages sales performance. Like, think about the impact on client relationships when follow-ups are delayed or proposals are rushed.
You're absolutely right. It's not just about time management, it's about consistency and quality.
So instead of thinking of, tackling tasks promptly as just checking things off our to-do list,
Yeah.
the sales experts are saying it's about building trust and delivering that consistent quality to clients.
Exactly. And that consistency, that's what builds a strong reputation and ultimately drives sales success.
Makes you think about those little delays in a whole new light, right?
Definitely food for thought.
Now, the next point is something I've seen hold back even the most talented salespeople. Fear of failure. It can really stifle creativity and risk-taking.
Absolutely. It's natural to want to avoid failure, but in sales, I think you have to reframe your thinking a bit.
Because in sales, every no or missed target is actually valuable data.
It is. It's a chance to analyze, to learn and refine our approach.
So instead of letting those setbacks derail us, we should view them as data points, almost like a feedback loop, to get us closer to what works.
Precisely embracing that feedback loop rather than fearing it. That's a hallmark of top-performing sales teams.
I'm already seeing how these points connect. Now, this third one from the sales experts really resonated with me as a leader, the need to control everything.
Okay.
I've definitely been guilty of this.
Oh, yeah. I think we all have at some point.
It's so tempting, right? Especially when we're driven and results-oriented.
But the article highlights how this need for control can actually stifle our team's performance.
Because when we micromanage, we limit our team's ability to grow, to innovate, and to really take ownership.
Exactly. And the article suggests that instead of dictating every detail, we should focus on influencing and empowering our teams.
So it's about creating an environment where our teams feel trusted and supported to make decisions.
Yes, to take risks and ultimately to drive sales success.
That shift from control to influence, that's something I'm definitely going to be thinking about.
It's a powerful one for sure.
Okay, the fourth point on this list is all about mindset, negative self-talk. And it's incredible how much those inner voices can impact our performance.
It's so true. We've all experienced those moments of doubt, but we have to actively challenge and reframe those negative thoughts.
So instead of letting that inner critic run wild, we need to become our own biggest cheerleaders.
Exactly. It's about cultivating a positive internal dialogue that supports our goals and reinforces our belief in ourselves.
Like building that mental muscle for resilience, especially when facing rejection, which
Gotcha.
is, inevitable in sales.
Rejection is part of the game.
Okay, the fifth point, perfectionism is something I think many high achievers struggle with. We want everything to be just right before we put it out there.
The pursuit of perfection, it's admirable, but in sales, it can become a trap.
Because striving for this unattainable ideal, it can lead to missed opportunities.
Analysis paralysis, too.
Yeah, and ultimately, it hinders our sales momentum.
Right. So it's not about lowering our standards, but it's about recognizing that done is better than perfect, especially in sales,
It's about prioritizing progress over perfection.
and embracing that continuous improvement cycle.
Okay, let's talk about living in the past. I can see how dwelling on past wins or even losses could prevent us from fully engaging in the present.
It's so easy to get stuck in the past, whether it's celebrating those victories for too long or ruminating on, past failures.
But it keeps us from focusing on the opportunities that are right in front of us.
Exactly. We have to acknowledge the past, but then shift our focus to the present moment and the actions we can take today to drive future sales success.
That mindset shift is so powerful. It's like clearing out the mental clutter to make space for new opportunities.
I love that analogy.
Now, the seventh point is something especially relevant in today's rapidly changing sales landscape: the fear of change.
Change can be daunting, for sure, especially in an industry that's constantly evolving.
But instead of resisting change, the sales experts are urging us to see it as an opportunity.
An opportunity to learn to adapt and ultimately to stay ahead of the curve.
So instead of clinging to what's familiar, we should be seeking out those new tools, those new strategies, and those new ways of thinking.
Yes, becoming lifelong learners, constantly seeking ways to evolve and refine our approach to sales.
It's a really powerful perspective. And this is giving me a lot to think about already. Now, the next point on the list is a bit more personal toxic relationships. And we all know how draining those can be. But how do the sales experts connect this to sales performance?
Well, it's all about the company we keep, negativity, drama, conflict. It can seep into our professional lives and impact our mindset, our productivity, and ultimately our sales results.
So it's not just about who we spend our free time with. It's about consciously cultivating a positive and supportive professional network as well.
Absolutely. Surrounding ourselves with people who inspire us, who challenge us to grow, and who celebrate our successes, that can have a profound impact on our sales careers.
It's about building that ecosystem of support and positive energy. And it reminds me that, say, you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with.
Well, that's a good one.
Okay, moving right along, the next point from the sales experts is something I think we can all relate to in today's instant gratification culture, the desire for instant results.
Oh, yeah, that's a big one in our society in general, but it can be a real problem in sales.
Because lasting success rarely happens overnight, right?
Right, it takes time.
So instead of expecting immediate wins, we need to cultivate that long-term vision and appreciate the journey.
Embrace the process. Celebrate the small wins and trust that consistent, focused effort will lead to the results.
It's about playing the long game, understanding that building trust with clients, mastering our craft, and developing those effective sales strategies, it takes time and dedication.
Couldn't agree more.
Okay, the 10th item on our list is one I've personally struggled with. Overcommitting, saying yes to every opportunity or request can really lead to burnout.
It can, and it spreads us too thin. We can't do our best work when we're overcommitted.
So it's about prioritizing, recognizing our limitations, and having the courage to say no.
The power of no is so important.
It's about protecting our time, our energy, and our focus so we can deliver our best work and achieve that sustainable success.
It's about sustainability for sure.
Okay, we're nearing the end of our list, and this next point is one that can be really impactful, especially in a field as competitive as sales, comparing yourself to others.
Oh, it's so easy to get caught in that trap.
It's human nature, but it can be really detrimental to our mindset and our sales performance.
Because when we compare ourselves to others, we lose sight of our own unique strengths, our own goals, and our own progress.
So instead of getting caught in that comparison trap, we need to focus on running our own race, celebrating our own wins, and learning from our own experiences.
Define our own measures of success.
Love that create our own internal scorecard instead of constantly measuring ourselves against others.
Absolutely.
Okay, we've reached the final point on our list from the sales experts' excuses. This is where the rubber meets the road
This is about taking ownership and accountability.
for our actions and our results.
Exactly. And the article really emphasizes the negative impact of excuses.
Because when we blame external factors or make excuses for our shortcomings, we give away our power.
We limit our ability to grow.
So instead of dwelling on why something didn't work out, we need to focus on what we can learn from that experience and what we can do differently next time.
It's about adopting that solutions-oriented mindset.
It is. And when we take ownership and focus on finding solutions, we empower ourselves to overcome those challenges.
And achieve greater sales success.
This has been such an insightful deep dive into these 12 things that the sales experts suggest we give up for greater sales success. I'm already seeing how letting go of certain habits and mindsets can pave the way for greater growth, both personally and professionally.
It's a powerful framework for sure, and I think there's something in here for everyone, regardless of where they are in their sales career.
Absolutely.
It's been really interesting kind of unpacking these 12 points, from the sales experts.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm already seeing some patterns and connections between these, seemingly separate ideas.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
It's like they're all pieces of a larger puzzle. And when we start putting them together, we get this clearer picture of what it takes to, build a high-performing sales culture.
That's a great way to put it.
And one of the most compelling takeaways for me is this underlying theme of mindset.
Mindset. Yeah, it's huge.
The sales experts are really highlighting how, our thoughts, our beliefs, our attitudes, they directly impact sales performance, both, individually and collectively.
Oh, for sure. You can't underestimate the power of mindset.
So we talked about, the dangers of negative self-talk
Mhm.
and the importance of cultivating that positive, internal dialogue.
Right, but it goes deeper than that.
It does. It's about fostering that growth mindset, embracing challenges,
Mhm.
as opportunities for learning, developing that resilience to bounce back from those setbacks.
Which we know are going to happen in sales.
Oh, they're inevitable, right?
So it's about creating that culture where failure is not feared, but it's seen as a valuable source of feedback.
Right. Encouraging experimentation, innovation, that
Mhm.
willingness to step outside of comfort zones.
Yeah, that's where the magic happens.
That's where the breakthroughs happen.
Exactly.
And, that connects to another key point that the sales experts emphasized, letting go of fear.
Fear. Oh man, that can be so paralyzing.
Fear of failure, fear of change, even fear of success.
It can create this stagnant culture, within a sales organization.
Right, because fear can hold us back from taking risks, from trying new approaches, from putting ourselves out there, going after those big opportunities.
But fear is often based on perception, not reality.
Right.
And when we challenge those fears, when we reframe that perspective, we can actually transform that fear into fuel for growth.
And that shift in perspective, it's crucial not just for, individual salespeople, but for sales leaders as well.
Oh, absolutely. Leaders need to set that tone.
It's about creating that culture where it's safe to take risks,
Yeah.
to experiment, to learn from mistakes,
Yeah.
to celebrate both the wins and the lessons learned.
Exactly. It's about creating a psychologically safe environment.
Now, that leads me to another takeaway from the sales experts, the importance of strong, positive relationships.
Relationships are everything.
We talked about the negative impact of toxic relationships and how that negativity and conflict can undermine morale and productivity. But the flip side is equally important, right?
Oh, for sure. Surrounding ourselves with supportive, inspiring individuals can have such a profound impact on our sales careers.
So it's about building that network of mentors, peers, colleagues, people who lift us up, challenge us to grow,
Yeah.
celebrate our successes.
It makes a huge difference.
And it's not just about our personal network. It's about fostering that culture of collaboration and support within our sales teams as well.
Teams that work together win together.
When team members trust each other, when they feel valued and respected, they're more likely to, share ideas, help each other out, achieve greater sales success together.
Absolutely. It's about creating that sense of shared ownership and accountability.
It's about creating that culture of shared success, where individual accomplishments contribute to those overall goals.
That's the key.
Now that brings us to another key point, highlighted by the sales experts, the importance of focus.
Focus in today's world, it's so hard to maintain focus.
It's so easy to get pulled in a million different directions,
We're constantly bombarded with information distraction.
Right. And we talked about the dangers of overcommitting, how spreading ourselves too thin can lead to burnout, decreased effectiveness,
Ultimately, underperformance.
So the sales experts encourage us to become more discerning with our time and energy, learn to say no, prioritize those activities that really move the needle.
The high impact activities.
Exactly, becoming laser focused on those, strategies and tactics that are most likely to generate leads, convert prospects, close deals.
It's about working smarter, not harder.
You're right. And it's not just about, managing our time effectively. It's about managing our mental focus as well.
Mental focus is so crucial.
We talked about, the dangers of comparing ourselves to others and how that comparison trap can lead to self-doubt, discouragement,
And it takes us away from what we should be focusing on.
It's exactly. The sales experts remind us that everyone's journey is different,
We have to define our own measures of success
Celebrate our own wins.
and stay focused on our individual goals and progress.
It's about running our own race at our
Yeah.
own pace and focusing on what we can control, which is our own effort, our own attitude, our own commitment to, continuous improvement.
It's about taking ownership.
Right. And that leads us to another key point that ties into this idea of focus, letting go of the desire for instant gratification.
Oh, that's a tough one.
It is, we live in a world that's obsessed with quick fixes and overnight success.
But true success, it rarely happens that way.
It takes time to build trust with clients, to master our craft, to develop those effective sales strategies,
It's a process. It's a journey.
And we have to embrace that journey, understanding that there will be ups and downs.
Setbacks and breakthroughs.
Right, but through those experiences, that's how we grow and evolve as sales professionals. This has been such a rich discussion. We've covered so much ground from, the power of mindset to the importance of relationships, from the need for focus to the value of embracing change.
It's all connected.
And I think it's clear that the sales experts have given us a lot to think about, a lot to reflect on, a lot to put into action.
Definitely food for thought.
It's amazing how these seemingly simple ideas from the sales experts, these 12 things to give up, they can have such a profound impact on how we approach sales, you know?
Yeah, it's about recognizing that sales success, it's not just about, mastering techniques or closing deals.
Right.
It's about cultivating the right mindset, building those strong relationships, creating a culture that supports, sustainable growth.
Absolutely. And as we wrap up this deep dive,
Mhm.
I'd love to explore some, specific examples of how these principles can actually be applied in a real-world sales environment.
Okay, yeah, let's do
For
it.
instance, let's take the idea of procrastination.
Okay, procrastinating.
We all know sales can be this fast-paced, demanding field, and it's easy to let those tasks pile up.
It happens to the best of us.
So think about a sales leader who's constantly putting off coaching their team, or reviewing those sales performance metrics.
Right, they might tell themselves they're too busy, but that procrastination, it can have a ripple effect throughout the team.
It can create that sense of stagnation,
Yeah.
a lack of clear direction, and ultimately it can impact morale and those sales numbers.
Exactly. But if that same leader makes a conscious effort to prioritize those coaching sessions, to carve out time for analyzing data and providing feedback, they're sending a powerful message to their team.
They're demonstrating that investment in the team's development,
Yeah.
that commitment to continuous improvement.
Leading by example.
Exactly. Now let's shift gears and consider the fear of failure. We talked about how this fear can hold salespeople back from taking risks, from trying new approaches, or even putting themselves out there.
Right, it can be paralyzing.
So imagine a sales team that's hesitant to experiment with new technologies or to pitch, those innovative solutions because they're afraid of rejection,
They're playing it safe, but they risk falling behind the competition.
becoming complacent, missing out on those breakthrough opportunities.
Right, they need to embrace that culture of experimentation where mistakes are viewed as learning opportunities.
Where calculated risks are encouraged.
Exactly, because that's how you innovate, that's how you adapt, and that's how you stay ahead of the curve.
It's about creating that safe space for trying new things,
Mm-hmm.
for learning from those experiments and for celebrating those bold moves, even if they don't always lead to those, immediate wins.
It's about the long game.
Exactly. And that ties into the importance of building those strong relationships, both within the sales team and with clients.
Relationships are key.
We talked about the negative impact of toxic relationships, but that flip side, it's equally powerful.
For sure.
So think about a sales manager who invests time in getting to know their team members, who actively listens to their concerns, celebrates their accomplishment,
They're creating that culture of trust, respect, and support.
which is so essential for building a high-performing sales team.
It's about creating that environment where people feel valued, where they feel encouraged to share ideas.
Empowered to do their best work.
Absolutely.
And those same principles apply to building relationships with clients, right?
Of course.
When we take the time to understand their needs, to build rapport, to provide value beyond the transaction, we're creating that foundation for those long-term partnerships.
It's moving away from that transactional mindset to a relationship-focused approach.
Exactly. Recognizing that building trust and those genuine connections, it's essential for sustainable success.
Couldn't agree more.
Now, as we wrap up, I want to circle back to something we touched on earlier, the importance of personal accountability.
Owning our outcomes.
Yes. The sales experts, they made a powerful case for, owning those outcomes, both the positive and the negative.
Absolutely.
It's easy to blame external factors when things don't go our way.
It is, but ultimately, our success or failure in sales, it hinges on our ability to take responsibility for our actions, our decisions.
And the results?
It's about having that solutions-oriented mindset, focusing on what we can control.
Taking proactive steps to achieve our goals.
Asking ourselves, what could I have done differently?
What can I learn from this experience? Rather than, dwelling on excuses or blaming others.
That's how we grow.
And that commitment to personal accountability, it's contagious.
It sets the tone for the entire team.
It creates that culture of ownership and continuous improvement.
Exactly.
Well, this deep dive into the 12 things to give up for sales success has been incredibly insightful. We've explored the power of mindset, the importance of those relationships, the need for focus, the value of embracing change.
It's all connected.
And I think it's clear that the sales experts have given us a lot to think about, a lot to reflect on, a lot to put into action.
Absolutely. A great framework for success.
So as we conclude, I want to challenge our listeners to reflect on these 12 points. What one thing will you focus on giving up to enhance your own sales success?
It's a question worth asking because sometimes letting go, that's the key to moving forward.
And for a deeper dive into these principles and more insights from the sales experts, be sure to check out their blog. Until next time, keep learning, keep growing, and keep crushing those sales goals.